All right, welcome back into lecture 3, Radical Renewal. So we saw in the first lecture, we saw that why civilizations fail over a long time if they do not act on radical renewal. It may be any of these three forces, they are out of imbalance. Private, public, or plural sector. Right? And then we looked into what happens in the exploitation phase, how corporations actually override everything in the society, or governments override everything in the society, and then civil society becomes the only force that can actually rebalance the society. That's what we covered. Now we get into the radical renewal, how actually this can be acted upon. Okay? Let's see what we have here. So this is the course, this is the lecture now, and we get into the discussion. So we saw this in the first lecture as a concluding slide, right? Don't forget this. This is the reason of the whole thinking that we have to do all the time. And why we need radical renewals? Because we have lofty ideals and lowly deals. Lofty ideals in the air and lowly deals on the ground. These are two sides of our world, and they rarely meet. Politicians sell us dream after dream, but they cannot achieve because they are controlled by the private sector. Don't expect governments to lead the renewal. It doesn't happen. Governments after governments, they have promised they will change things, but they haven't been able to lead the renewal that is needed to wipe out the inequality regime, to wipe out the racial injustice, to wipe out the imbalances in the society. We are very proud that those companies that they do well by doing good, they are emerging corporate social responsibilities becoming part of their life. But let's not pretend that this will sweep across the corporate landscape as some kind of win-win wonderland. Despite the fact, American CEOs actually met together and then declared that stakeholders' value maximization should be their choice and their focus rather than only shareholders' value maximization. But perhaps that is more of a marketing gimmick rather than actually solving and making this mainstream. It has not been translated into their balance sheets, not their in profit and loss or cash flow or quarterly reporting or annual reporting. Who knows, it might take a shape at some point, but that has not happened. And don't expect miracles from CSR. Corporate social responsibility is also just a marketing slogan to sell more. Instead, look to plural sector as movements and initiatives. These can do immediate reversals, like what is happening in the streets of US now while I'm recording these, in the streets of other parts of the world, including Hong Kong, and then also including Nepal and India and other parts of the world. The movements the civil society is taking into the streets to make government responsible. But when civil society will take to the street to make the corporations responsible? That's what is needed. Greenpeace at some level has done on the environmental sector. And there are some notable things by some of other NGOs into social sector. But those have not been scalable. But the cooperatives movement as part of income generation, employment generation, and competing force with the corporations have not been unleashed. So we're looking for that call. We're looking for that change. Yeah. What I believe, and also the writer believes, Professor Mintzberg, is that I believe that responsible social movements and social initiatives carried out in communities and other associations networked internationally are the greatest hope we have for regaining balance in this trouble. Look at how Greta Thunberg has done the campaign for environmental problems and climate change issues. She has actually used all of these possibilities and then all networks, and then also embedded her ideas into making that a big movement. Okay. The consequential reforms. We have a hope ahead. Why not? It will work at some point when these ideas emerge as a discussion point, coffee talks, dinner table talks, and so on and so forth. Let's look forward socially instead of backward economically. That's the message. Thank you for looking into that radical renewal chapter. We did not go into very detail into this, but at some point we will be having discussions on what we can do together into complete thinking later in the next lecture. So it's not incremental. You saw that point, you know. The incrementalism, or looking plural sector as a third way, or like third sector, neglected sector, government giving some sort of taxpayers' money for solving some social problems or environmental problems, or in a sense, in a minor level, not becoming the equal force. So the point is to sit in a chair that has three P's, that is plural sector and private sector and public sector. All of these three legs should be in a balance so that human society can sit on that chair. Otherwise, the human society cannot sit on that chair. Like it could not sit in that chair in Soviet Union because the force of the leg, whatever leg was imbalanced leg of public sector was high. There was no private sector at all. And I don't know how much civil society or like plural sector was active in that time. That did not last long. So that is also exactly happening with the capitalistic societies as it is what they are doing. Though the tenets of the capitalisms are very good, they are actually having very good impact in the growth and the prosperity of the society to greater length. But what happened is that they got also greedy, like in the model that we showed you in the first lecture and recapped in this lecture and the previous lecture also, is that somehow the greed actually creeps in and then people forget about their moral responsibility, ethical responsibility, and corporate social responsibility. Everything is actually driven by just for profit and nothing for having ethical profit, moral profit. So the capitalism itself is good, but moral part is missing in the current setting. So to make that morality, to bring the morality into business, now the only hope is the civil sector, that is third sector, that is not like third pillar, not sector, let's forget that sector idea. Pillar or the sector, like the plural sector, as a strong and balanced leg, the important equal power leg of the society, so that the society can rest on these three strong pillars. First pillar being public sector, second is private, and third as your plural sector. So that's the idea, and that's the radical transformation we have to have. And we have to have movements not only to make government responsible, but also private sector responsible. Hopefully that made sense to you. I look forward to seeing you in the next lecture.